Okay, we're all pinned. Hello, folks.
Are we just about live?
Just about live. No, we are live.
We are live.
We are live.
Okay. Hello.
Trying to
I think I see
remember
that
how to get the comments up.
some folks are there.
Yep. Now there may not be a way to see the comments as they're coming in. Don't know. We'll find out. Hello, everybody. We have 14 people in the jam already. That's great.
Hope you guys have had a good summer.
Yeah.
As you may have guessed, we've not increased our technological skills since the last our last jam,
No.
but oh well.
Oh well, we do what we can. I might have figured out how to display the comments.
Okay. Adam has found someone who can advise him, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, we have a little bit of tech support that we didn't used to have for these online jams.
Yeah.
But indeed, welcome back. Hope
Yeah.
everybody had a fun summer of festivals and camps or other kinds of vacations, or non-vacations, but good weather at least.
Yeah.
Right?
What did we did Clifftop,
Mm-hmm.
and we did Rock Bridge,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to Hoppin' John for the second time ever. Adam's only been, no, you've been twice,
Have I
right?
been?
Because the time you had to go home.
No, that was at Chicory Hill.
Oh,
Same
never
place,
mind.
different
Never mind.
event.
Never mind.
But we haven't been in like 15 years.
Yeah, a very long time, and it was a very nice festival. Had a really good time. We probably will try to go back next year.
Yep, I'll try to be available.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a nice festival to end up the season, the Hoppin' John Festival near Pittsburgh, North Carolina.
That's right. We're going to be playing in the key of A tonight, and we hope you're there with your instruments ready to play along. This is not meant to be a concert. If you're new to our online jam series, this is the first one of a new season, but I think it's like the 21st one we've ever done. And if this were meant to be a concert, it would be more varied, and we'd be trying harder to be more entertaining, right?
Yeah, whatever.
This is a jam, and it'll be more fun if you play along. It'd be
Right.
the most fun if we could hear you playing along, but we'll just have to imagine that.
We keep
won't we?
hoping for that technology to come around.
That's right.
But for right now,
Yeah.
one
Beth is going to be capoed the whole time at the second fret, so 1, 4, and 5 will look like G, C, and D, but they'll actually be A, D, and E respectively. Did you want to go over any ground rules for your shapes?
I don't think
There's not much to it in this key.
I'm not gonna have a 2, am I?
No.
I don't think so.
You'll have a 7 at 1 point,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, well, there will be 1 7 chord, not 7th, but 7 chord in one of the tunes.
Yeah.
And let's see. So we're playing all in A cross tune.
Cross-tuned A for my fiddle, that's A, E, A, E, until the very end. We've got 3 tunes reserved at the end of the set where I'll alter the tuning a little bit, but I'll give folks fair warning. You don't have to panic yet. Banjos would do well to be in the open A major tuning or open G with the capo on. And let me double check. Go. We've aimed for our usual mixture of more familiar and less familiar tunes, trying our best to not repeat any from earlier in this series. So far, we've repeated Breaking Up Christmas intentionally, and we've repeated another one, which I won't name. I'll let people go looking for it. Inadvertently.
Yeah.
And I think that's all the repetition there's been, and hopefully that's all there will be.
So many more tunes.
So many more tunes.
Yeah.
Beth maintains this master tune list of everything we think we know, and we keep like marking things off when we've used them in these jams, thinking, oh, we're going to have to hurry up and learn a bunch of new tunes. Not yet.
Not yet.
Although we do learn some new ones for every one of these jams, just to keep them interesting for ourselves.
And we try to mix them with some old standbys as well.
Yep. And this first one is in that category, Plain Old Bill Cheatham, which is an awfully nice tune, and I think it deserves to be played more than it is.
Whose
these
version
days.
did we do before?
We've done a special version
Yeah.
in the key of G in this series before from Melvin Wine, but tonight's is just the plain old A version with the usual chord progression, and it's so much fun to play.
Okay.
Ready to roll?
we have said before, there is a reason why songs become chestnuts. They're just that good.
They're good tunes.
And they're fun
yes.
to play.
All right, lots of nice people tuning in from all over creation. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much. If you ask a question in the chat and we don't respond to it, please accept our apologies. Facebook over time has indeed changed how we're able to watch these comments coming in, and sometimes we miss them. But we will aim after the jam is over to go back through, and if there are questions that we haven't addressed, we'll catch them there as we can.
Yeah. Wish we could be more interactive.
I know it.
Will that be the case when we move?
I don't think it will be.
No,
it'll be the same. We'll be talking about that later. How's
Right.
that 5 chord? Why don't you go over your tuning a little bit? I'll tell folks about the next tune. This next tune is one that's new to us. We learned it at Clifftop a couple of months ago from our very good friends Jim Cooper and Marilyn Branch from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Hi, Marilyn and Jim. If you're out there, if any friends of Marilyn and Jim are tuning in, let them know in the comments how much you think of them. We were in a wonderful key of A jam with a lot of people, not just Marilyn and Jim, and kind of passing leadership of the tunes around. And Jim, on his mandolin, asked to lead this upcoming tune. And I had never heard the tune before. You'd never heard the tune.
It's got a great title.
We really liked it. And the title just kind of cinched the deal for us. It's called Jump Down the Well, My Pretty Little Miss. What a strange sentiment, right? But it's a terrific tune, and I knew that I wasn't going to quite remember it the way that Jim played it. So right then and there, I got out my phone and I asked him, would you please play it once more? And that included Beth playing the chords, which Marilyn on her bass guided everybody through. Come to find out, this tune also exists on the quite new Kettlebog album with A.J. Srubus and Church Smith and a wonderful cast of characters. But since I found that out, I have deliberately avoided going back to that recording and listening for any differences. And maybe there are some, maybe there aren't some, but we like how we learned it from Jim and Marilyn, and we're going to keep it that way at least through tonight. Maybe I'll listen to Kettlebog tomorrow and we'll start making some adjustments.
And isn't the unusual thing about the A part is that you hang on the one?
Yeah, that's what you and Marilyn were doing together. Just a whole lot of one chord in the A part, and then a more varied progression for the B part. The B part sounds like it might want a 7 chord, a G in the key of A, but that's not what Marilyn did. She was just sticking with 1, 4, 5, so that's what Beth is going to do.
So it'd be interesting to see what Rena did.
Yeah, that's right.
When we go back to listen to Kettlebog.
Jump Down the Well, My Pretty Little Miss. And this is a Midwestern tune, but I don't know anything about it beyond that it is Midwestern before it entered Jim Cooper's frame of reference, too. like
I wonder
it.
if Jim and Marilyn might be there.
I don't know. Let's find
They
out.
might.
Okay, Keith McManus. Thanks for being here. Lori from out in Oklahoma. Great
Hey,
to
Lori.
see you. All right. Yay. Greg Jones in Wisconsin. I found a 7 chord.
Woohoo.
Yep, it could maybe handle a 7 chord, but we like to
Yeah.
leave it out.
Adam,
Okay.
you're usually more, less is more.
Well, I think a little bit of that
Yeah.
chord goes a long way. But sometimes it's just the thing, as
Oh,
it will
yeah.
be, not in the next tune, but the
But
one
in
after
the next
that.
one, yeah.
Can I hear your chord a little bit more, please? I feel like I'm drifting around.
Speaking of Oklahoma,
That's right.
That's where this next tune comes from.
We're about to play an Oklahoma tune.
We're gonna play
Pretty
Oklahoma
exciting.
tune. We actually learned it from our good friend Jerry Carell
From Virginia.
of Virginia, who is probably the world's most enthusiastic interpreter of Uncle Dick Hutchison.
Yes, that's
And
right.
he put out a CD with all Uncle Dick tunes.
He did.
Yeah.
Jerry Carell sure did. And we learned this one from him long before
Long
that CD,
ago.
probably,
When
I
he
don't know,
was-
15 or 20 years ago.
And it was the Wolf Brothers, his band.
That's right.
Was where this came from. But it's
And I
got
wasn't absolutely sure that this was
Yeah.
an Oklahoma tune from Uncle Dick Hutchison, but Beth thought that it was. She remembered that. Bravo.
Right.
And I looked on Slippery Hill to check, and sure enough,
Right.
this tune with a unique title, Little Daze Robertson. That's D-A-Z-E. Little Daze Robertson. I wonder who that was. Anybody know? Let us know in the comments
Must
if you
have been
do.
a friend of Uncle Dick's.
Yeah, must have been. But what a cute little tune it is, indeed. We just love to play it, and hopefully you will, too.
Send it out to our Oklahoma pals.
That's
that
right.
We're going to see again in the spring.
We had
and
so much fun at the Greenleaf Festival in Oklahoma
Yeah, we
this past
recommend that
April.
one highly as
Yeah,
well. It's a
we're-
lot of fun.
We can barely wait to get back there next April, and we hope to
Yep.
see a lot of y'all out there.
All right.
Robertson. Don't you love it? Banjo players out there, I remember playing that on the banjo in jams with Jerry Carell, where we first learned the tune, and having to go up pretty darn high at one point, like maybe to the 12th fret of the first string. Let us know in the comments how high you wound up going.
Check them. Also, I wanted to let you know that there are thunderstorms in our prediction for very soon. So if you hear a lot of crashing and banging, that could be what it is.
That's true. And if we go dark, that might be what it is too.
So we hope not.
It looked like it was sort of skirting us.
Yeah, this is the harbinger of the possible hurricane on Monday.
That's right.
Anything exciting in the...
Nice chatter. An ID for, let's see, Jump Down the Well, My Pretty Little Miss, Illinois fiddler Noah Beavers. Thanks, Chris, for posting that. Yes. Rose Spinks is liking the Midwestern fiddle ear candy. Thank you, Rose, for that and for tuning in. All right, time for a somewhat more familiar tune. We're going to do Ways of the World. Remember that one? Title track to Raina Gellert's first album, and I feel like every tune on that became really commonly played because she did them so beautifully. But before her, I think this is William Hamilton's Step of Kentucky. Anyway, this is the one tune in our set that has something beyond 1, 4, and 5. That's right. It'll be the 7 chord, the G, en route to the 5 chord. Not everyone chords that A part that way, but we sure like the drama of the 5 chord there in the middle.
Right.
Nothing else to really talk about.
A lot of bow screaming in that one part.
Yeah, there can be. Yeah. There can be. I'll try to contain myself.
The bow,
3 parts. If you don't know the tune, don't be surprised to hear the form keep going after A, and B, B. And the A part is a little bit crooked. It's a little bit longer than standard. Ways of the world. Hope that was a nice blast from the past for folks.
I was getting tickled because you can't slip anything over on Adam.
Did you see me look up?
I totally missed one of the 5 chords.
It's okay.
And I get this eyebrow goes up like this.
It's
that
okay.
Cracks me up when that
It
happens.
works either way. I just want to make sure I'm playing the tune correctly and go with what you're doing.
Can I get anything in over? Well, that's all there is to it.
Every now and then, maybe you can. All right, I think in a previous A Jam, I believe I'm right about this.
I think you're right.
We've done the other one.
I think we have.
Yeah, we've done a Speed the Plow that has kind of a murky history, but we were able to trace it as far back as New York State. Well, we're going to do tonight Speed of the Plow, not to be confused with Speed the Plow. And I think there are even multiple tunes by this title. Go figure, I guess that was a big thing back in the day. But this Speed of the Plow, plows were important, that's true. This particular Speed of the Plow we like so much. It comes from John Salyer of Kentucky, and it's just so pretty. It just rolls right along.
Not fast.
No.
It's not a fast
No,
tune.
I mean, it could be played fast, but we don't play it fast.
Yeah.
And it has a short A part and a normal length B part that still has a lot of repetition in it. It's great for shuffling along on a fiddle. I used to actually teach this as an exercise, that kind of square shuffle pattern. Maybe I should reintroduce it into my teaching repertoire.
There you go.
All right, Speed of the Plow. Yeah,
I like
so
that
nice. Speed of the Plow.
Speed of
John
the Plow.
Salyer. Was that a new one to folks? I hope so. Ah, Carla Kaufman. Tuning in
Carla.
from San Diego this time, not Minneapolis.
Carla had her first cliff top this year,
That's
and I
right.
believe it was a success.
Live to tell
That's
the tale,
right.
and hopefully she and Joe will be back for more.
That's right. And I think the estrogen jam might have contributed to her satisfaction
That
level.
was so much fun, wasn't it?
You guys ever have not been to Cliff Top and you go, make sure to attend the estrogen jam.
That's estro-gin jam.
Yes.
Estrogen jam. And people attending the estrogen jam who are not women have to folloll rules.
That's right. But the
And I
women
did.
don't have to follow any rules.
No.
They just have to drink.
You do what you want.
Drink and perform.
All right.
So, you want to discuss the
I
chord
will.
patterns on this one? I hold my breath and hope for the best.
Yeah, you know,
on
this is
one.
another one that has the 7 chord in it.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You throw in a brief one.
It
We're getting
does.
ready to do one version of the many versions of Fire on the Mountain. I think we've done at least one previous Fire on the Mountain in here. But tonight's is a pretty different one. It's from Marcus Martin. And if you know a Granny Will Your Dog Bite, it has a good bit in common with Granny Will Your Dog Bite, which various fires on the mountain do. Structurally, though, this one is pretty strange. It has 3 parts. The A part is short, just 2 phrases. That's the A part, and it happens again. By the way, Marcus Martin put in a double stop that I really like. But you'll notice that Beth does not change chords there. She's just going to ride the 1 all through that fiddle nonsense. Then, the B part is standard length, so twice as long as the A. It starts in a unique way. No 7 chord yet. That's halfway through the B part. The second half of the B part recycles the A part. So it sounds like we've gone back to the top of the tune, but we haven't. The B repeats, so unique content. And then borrowed content from the A part. And then it's time for the C part, which only happens once and is a little bit longer than standard. And it has a little 7 chord in there, surrounded by 4 chords. So that's all content unique to the B, but its final phrase, the phrase that makes it a little longer than usual, a little crooked, is the same as the final phrase of the other 2 parts. And then we won't repeat that one. We'll go back to the top. Confused yet? I promise you it's not that complicated. If you can let the melody guide you, you'll notice the same chunks of melody showing up again and again in some expected places and some more bizarre places. And I think you'll be able to get the job done. Follow Beth's chording too. You'll know when that C part hits because its chord pattern is totally different than the others.
You just kind of have to memorize it and hold on.
Yes. And we're not going to play it too fast. Oops, sorry. Repeat. B part. Back to the top. Tricky.
Tricky,
but fun.
tricky.
At least I think so. Marcus
Tricky.
Martin's Fire on the Mountain. Anybody out there like that? Your iPad is doing what it's done a couple times previously. You've noticed?
I've noticed.
It says Terry Burdick, our good banjo-playing friend from Durham, North Carolina, is watching. Terry Burdick is watching. Terry Burdick is watching
Thousands of times.
Yes.
It's saying
like about 36 times seriously right here in the last few minutes.
I have no idea why it's doing that.
Hilarious.
It is. So, anyway.
Cody Ruth is watching.
Oh, hey, Cody.
Hello, Cody. Wish you were here with your cello.
Yeah, we had such a nice time this summer. Poor Cody is the fellow whose cello was run over by a truck last year at Cliff Top.
Not this year.
But,
and that was his first Cliff Top, and even after kind of a miserable experience in that regard, he came back for more. That's how great Cliff Top is,
That's right. And we had a really nice time with him
Absolutely.
this year.
What a good musician.
Ooh,
this is one of my favorites coming up.
Yeah, me too. So, a long time ago, I used to play with a band called the New Pilot Mountaineers, and we did a little recording. I can't remember if it had a title. It's been so long ago, but anyway, we did this tune on that CD.
I forgot that it was in your
discography. It is in my discography. Yes, it is. And so I would like to send this tune out, as they say, to the bass player from that band, Sandy Mason, who always referred to this tune as Bucket Full of A.
Bucket Full of A.
Because she only got to play an A.
Pretty much on the bass.
Pretty much throughout. I do throw in some 5 chords into it.
Yes.
But it's a wonderful tune for guitar players.
We should say
it
is.
Well, the actual tune is not Bucket Full of A.
Right.
The actual tune is Candy Girl.
Candy Girl.
Where is it from?
It's from Uncle Bunt Stevens of Tennessee.
Oh, yeah, Uncle Bunt. I remember that, talking about Uncle Bunt. Yes.
And it does have a lot of A in it, a lot of one chord, but as you'll see, there's actually a lot that you can do on the rhythm instrument around that single chord with some little 5 turnarounds.
So I play G in the old style instead of doing that, which I can't even do. I do that way to play a G. And with Candy Girl, it is the most fun to just pick up the index finger and just plop it down.
Walk it around
Walk
the second
it around,
fret.
see what you get, see if it goes with the bowing. It may or it may not, but it's a very dissonant tune, very rhythmic but dissonant tune, and it's very drony. So if you think like you're kind of playing a bagpipe or something, you're going to be doing the drone sound with it. And Adam's got a very funny little bow thing going on.
Yeah, I mean, similarly, there's so much you can do with the tune on the fiddle, and I've known fiddle instructors to use this as like a real study in individual instruction or in group workshops in certain bowing techniques. And it's like there's almost no tune to it, so it's all about the rhythm and the bow. So the A part, for me, has a little bit less going on in it, but it has some nice opportunities for these strokes that I learned as rock strokes. So down, up, rock. I'm starting the up stroke on the lower string and then repositioning to include the higher string partly through. But then the B part is where we can have so much fun. Simple melody. That's it. A lot of fiddlers love to use this as a tune for teaching pulse bowing. So there I'm keeping 2 strings under the bow the whole time. And halfway through the stroke, I'm just pushing a little bit harder to separate each stroke into 2 chunks. That's one thing you can do with it. But you can do kind of a rocking thing in both directions, moving from the low string to the high string. You can exaggerate it in the cross A tuning across all 4 strings. And you can probably do a lot of other things that I'm not describing now, but I will do when we play the tune. Just have all kinds of fun with the bow.
Yeah, you could play this tune for hours and still come up with interesting things to do with it. So it's kind of you know.
Yeah. A lot of people avoid this tune because they think it's just too plain. And I've never felt one way or the other about it. I've known it for a long time. And when she suggested we put it on this list, for a moment, the jury was a little bit out for me. I'm like, well, people are going to tune out, literally as well as figuratively during this tune, and we don't want that. But then when we started practicing, I thought, ooh, this is a nice tune, and there's a lot that can happen in it.
And it's a really good dance tune for contra dances.
Not contras so much, it's the wrong way.
I'm sorry.
Squares.
For squares.
Yes.
See, I'm not a dancer. But I do know that when we have played it for dances, they
would go
love
pretty
this
wild.
tune, and it just has the best rhythm.
It's so dry.
So, anyway,
All right,
here we go.
Candy Girl. Hope we all have fun with this. And not too slow, this one, but not blazing fast either.
could just go on and on and on and on and on and not get tired of it. And I'm so glad to see that Terry is still watching.
Yes. She says, OMG, well, I am watching. We're glad for that. Sorry to clutter the message board. It's nothing you're doing, Terry. I wish we knew what was causing this. All right.
All right.
Steve Allerton tuning in and following along. So glad to have you here. All right, it's time for another sort of odd one, but I feel like this is a bit known. We're going to play Sweet Marie.
And it sounds like it should have words.
It sure does. It's one of those tunes that has a very song-like quality to it. I've not heard any words that go with it, but maybe there are some. If you know,
if anybody knows,
let us know in the comments. I wish I knew more about the history of this tune than I do. I feel like I've just kind of always known it. I remember from some of my earliest days of learning the banjo, this tune coming up. But I will say that the Troublesome Creek String Band in about 2005 did a good service including this tune on their fabulous CD. And I feel like that maybe got it further into circulation or back into circulation. If we could find the physical copy of that album, I'd check the liner notes to find out where the tune came from. I just don't know. And Slippery Hill didn't really answer that question for me. There was at least one version of Sweet Marie in the archive there. I think more than one. But the one that I remember is Benton Flippin playing it, I think, in D. And not quite the same tune, but you could tell that they were related. So if you know anything about the version of Sweet Marie we're getting ready to play, source-wise, I'd be really fascinated to hear about it in the comments later on. It's a little bit crooked, and I haven't totally worked out how to describe the crookedness yet. I feel like the A part is a little more overtly crooked than the B, but they both have some irregularity to them.
I'm gonna try really hard not to
dance
around and try to keep the chords for a couple times around.
Well, and that's good because a great landmark for when the B part is starting each time is a long 4 chord. So you'll hear that and you'll see that. And there's a little bit of 4 chord in the A part, but not much. So if you get lost, think of that long 4 chord as the beginning of B. Sweet Marie. pretty?
Yeah, it's so much like a song. I
really
think of it as verse chorus
It
instead
really
of A
is.
and B.
It has that same vibe as the Wandering Boy and Waiting for the Boatsman.
Very much like Wandering Boy.
Camp Meeting on the 4th of July, which people have written lyrics to, but yeah, you get the idea. Right. Totally. All right. What are folks having to say here? Ooh, Joe from Minnesota was experimenting back, maybe still, with cross-tuned mandolin. Candy Girl sounded wonderful on it. What a good idea, Joe. I just hope your instrument can handle all that tension. All right. Amy Sternhell, hello. She likes Sweet Marie. John Bunch says, Sweet Marie, I assume, attributed to Raymond Moore, 1893.
Wow.
Chris says, let's see if I can open this and see the whole thing, from Traditional Tune Archive. That's a good resource that I need to remember to check. Sweet Marie was written, this is interesting, by C.Y. Warman, words, and Raymond Moore, music, in 1893. Warman wrote the lyrics in honor of his wife. Tommy Jarrell also sang some verses different from the original song. I didn't know that. I'm going to have to find Tommy's recording if there is one. Okay, Cody McManus agrees that it was a song for sure. He lists a couple times that it was recorded. Ooh, and some Slippery Hill links. Maybe I overlooked those entries, Cody. Thanks for that. All right, more research needs to be done, but maybe it's not a surprise that it has such a song-like vibe to it.
Song-like.
I wonder if the singing song is crooked too, or if the tune separated from its lyrics has become crooked. Don't know.
It really is a tune that, for the guitar player, that you have to listen.
Yeah.
You can't just assume what the timing is going to be, and that makes it a fun challenge.
Yeah. Do you remember it from a long, long time ago?
No, I think Marvin Gaster did it.
Really?
I think.
Okay.
I think that's where I remember it from.
All right. Well, we're going to do one more number with the fiddle tuned as it has been, and then a couple more after that with the tuning altered. This last number sort of circles back to where we began with something hopefully familiar to folks that we can all relax into and enjoy jamming out on. Sugar in the Gourd. That's one of those standards that you don't hear around enough.
It's great for
anymore.
jam.
It's so great. The chord progression I think is so interesting. Neither part is chorded in kind of an ordinary way. So yeah, let's just do it and have a lot of fun. Listen for all the long 5 chords from Beth. The way you get the sugar out is roll the gourd about.
And you would know about gourd.
Well, I suppose I would. I suppose I would. All right, Beth is checking her tuning, but not changing it and not changing her capo position. I'm getting ready to go from AEAE, ordinary cross A tuning, to the Calico tuning, or the Black Mountain Rag tuning, AEA C sharp. Just one string to adjust, but it'll throw everything else off. Fiddlers, I would love it if you would go there too, but if you're not comfortable, no worries. I do believe that you'll be able to get through these next three tunes in the normal cross A tuning. It just won't be quite as fun, and some of the droning sounds won't be the same. But we've done some Calico tunes in these online jams before, and I wasn't sure that we had enough left to make it worthwhile, but Beth chose a waltz, the very last thing that we'll do tonight, that's kind of meant for the Calico tuning, and I thought, boy, it'd be so much fun to do that waltz, but we can't retune just for the one thing, so we decided to add a couple more things to it. Can I hear your chord, please? Thank you. Oh, Tony Kremler,
again,
hello.
Tony, I love this tuner. Love, love, love.
Yeah, it's really working out, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is the unit tune.
Unitune.
Unitune.
Yeah.
Can I hear your chord just a little bit more,
Wonderful
please?
tuner.
Maybe I need to get one of those.
You think?
I don't know, I like my on-demand guitar chord tuner. Calico is a tricky tuning to get in tune, though. And it feels like I'm out of gear, but I don't think I am. Maybe I'll do a little more work on the pegs. Okay, as we're retuning and getting resettled, because y'all might be doing the same, I wanted to let everyone know what's going on with our older online jam videos. If you've been following along in the past, you might remember that earlier this year, Facebook announced it would not continue to archive old live stream videos indefinitely. Now it deletes these videos after 30 days, and indeed it got rid of all of our backlog of videos after giving us fair warning. All good there. We saved those videos, no worries, but they are not available on Facebook anymore because it's been more than 30 days since our last one. Once 30 days from today, elapses, this video will no longer be available on my Facebook page either. But we've moved all the old videos over to YouTube, and we're just finishing up indexing them on YouTube to where each video from each jam will have a list of tune titles in it with clickable links that will take you straight to the start of each of those tunes, so you don't have to suffer through all of our chatter and all of our technical difficulties like you do in real time. I think it'll be a really nice user-friendly format for going back and using the jams on your own time after they've happened, maybe going back and learning some tunes or just practicing playing along some more. So as soon as the indexing is done and as soon as we get tonight's video moved over there to YouTube, we'll make an announcement all over Facebook. You'll get sick and tired of seeing it about the availability of the online jam archive. We're sorry that we don't quite have our act together yet, but those videos will soon be there. And I think they'll be a whole lot easier to deal with than they ever were on Facebook. We plan to keep live streaming new jams on Facebook because it's such a nice way to spread the word to all of those old-time music groups, and people scroll by and see that we're jamming and they're apt to tune in a way that I don't think happens on YouTube. It's just the archive that needs to get moved over there.
And I have been updating the spreadsheet that I've been keeping of all of the jams and the tunes that were played. So once we get them up on YouTube, if you want a copy of that, I try to update it after every jam, and you'll be able to tell what month. You know, the spreadsheet lists what month we did it, month and year we did it, and then you can look for it that way on YouTube.
Yep, and we're planning to put the date of each jam in its title on YouTube, so you won't even have to click into it to see the one that you're looking for if you start with Beth's list.
So, and I'm happy if you send me a note on Messenger, I'm happy to send you the list.
Yes. Once more, I'm almost there. Sorry for this delay.
See if there are any questions.
If you have any questions about the availability of the jam and the archive, put them in the chat and we'll try to respond. And see, banjo players who aren't having to alter their tuning to get ready for Calico, in the archived version with the clickable links, you'll just be able to click right through to the next tune and not have to deal with any of this nonsense. That'll work. Okay, our first of 3 Calico-tuned pieces is one that I learned off of that great Dirk Powell album, If I Go 10,000 Miles. I think that's the best music he's ever put out. If you haven't heard that album, do yourselves a favor and check it out. Again, I wish I could find the physical copy to check the liner notes and see where 16 and 1 came from. If anybody knows, put it in the comments. But it's a great tune. To hear it is to know it. The two parts are dangerously similar in a couple points, but they're not meant to be quite the same. And if I can get the notes right, you'll see at the middle of the A part, there's a little ascent. At the middle of the B part, Dirk did a descent. But otherwise, those phrases are kind of the same. 16 and 1. Isn't that fun?
See if anybody knows.
There's not a whole lot to it, but I sure like it all the same. Terry Burdick is watching a dozen times. Oh, my sister Greta is there. Hi, Greta. Love you too. No comments about 16 and 1's origin.
Oh, well.
Maybe Dirk made it up. I don't know. I don't know if he... Well, yes, he does make up tunes. I do know that much, but not sure if that one is in that category. All right, well, if we're in the Calico tuning, we've got to do Calico, the namesake tune, don't we? I believe there are a few tunes called Calico, but the one that I've always associated with that title and this tuning is the one that Marcus Martin played and recorded by this name. I think of the historical fiddlers, he had the biggest repertoire of music in this tuning. Let me know if you don't agree, because if there's someone with more tunes so tuned, I want to learn all of that person's repertoire. But Marcus Martin had some very, very beautiful music here, and he was so sweetly recorded playing it. So we'll do his Calico here, and it's just got a tiny little A part and a little bit longer B part, not a whole lot to it. This one would be a little harder to mimic in another tuning besides this one, the A part specifically. But if you haven't retuned, I'm sure you'll manage. Calico from Marcus Martin. Miss Martin. I remember one set of recordings of his, maybe earlier ones, from the 30s perhaps, have him telling over and over which
Mr.
tune
Martin.
he's getting ready to say.
Mr.
Yeah,
Martin.
the field recorder from the Library of Congress was like, what are you going to play, Mr. Martin? Mr.
Yes.
Martin. And he talks about how this tuning is for a tune named Calico that's as old as the hills, but then he didn't play it in that session. And then later on, I think in a different session, although maybe it was in that same session, it's, what tune are you going to play, Mr. Martin? I will play Calico. And he finally does play it, and it's fabulous, of course.
The A part of that tune reminds me so much of Mark Simons. And Mark Simons's the cliffhangers and and all that stuff. Just something about the progression of the A part. So I was getting very distracted imagining Mark Simons and kind of made up a new part.
Yeah, that's okay. It all sounded good.
Whatever, you know.
You've gotten some very nice feedback on guitar playing
Well.
in here. Judy Moldauer's tuning in while eating dinner. Hi, Judy.
Hey, Judy.
Wish you could be playing along. Evan Charles Diamond, great tunes. Thank you, Evan. I appreciate that. Evan is mesmerized by Beth's right hand. Does that playing style come from someone or have a name, or what's going on there exactly? You made it up yourself.
I made it up, yeah.
Yeah.
It was, I was in an old-time band that valued flat picking a lot, and I couldn't flat pick, so I compensated.
Right.
And came up with what I do.
Yep. And you use your thumb a little bit like a flat pick when it's picking down. You use your index finger a little bit like a flat pick if it's picking up. And then you pinch or
with the third,
clutch with the middle finger, which is the best part about your sound of many fabulous parts, I think.
And this particular, I can't get it in the thing. This particular thumb pick is key in my mind. It's a blue Herco.
Really lightweight thumb pick.
Very thin, very lightweight, and
wearing it way back.
It right up on your knuckle. That's my big secret right there.
And Hunter Walker says,
hey, Hunter.
Just tuned in. Adam, you sound divine as always. Aw, but here's what I wanted you to hear about in real time. Hunter Walker, fabulous old-time musician, best dulcimer player there is, says, when I want to grow up, I want to play guitar like Beth.
Well, Hunter, all right, we got to have a date this year, upcoming, at Clifftop, okay?
Yes.
Shake hands.
Let's try hard.
Let's make it happen instead of just talking about it.
Yes. As we get ready to play our last number, the closing waltz that inspired this tuning change, which was Beth's great idea. You're just full of great ideas all the time. I want to make a couple housekeeping announcements. As mentioned earlier, this is the first jam of our new season. We plan to keep these going, as always, while there's interest, basically between September and May, when the festivals are on hiatus and when the music camps aren't happening as much as they are in the warmer
We
months.
average about every 6 weeks.
Yeah, every 6 weeks or so.
Something like that.
We're hoping to do another one, I don't know, later this fall. So stay tuned.
One during the holidays.
Yeah, we'll do one over the holiday season. There will be more of these. We'll endeavor to not repeat tunes, except maybe Breaking Up Christmas around the holiday season.
You can't not play Breaking Up Christmas.
I know it.
You know.
And so this video will probably go away from Facebook before we have our next online jam, but by then we will have announced the availability of the YouTube archive, so you can keep jamming along. I believe there are 20 old videos of these jams in the archive.
You would know. You uploaded
I
them.
know, and I've been indexing them. And so this one, if I'm right, will make 21. Lots of resources there if you're looking for more tunes to learn or just recordings to play against. I have pinned some tip jar links to the top of the chat if you feel so inclined. Thank you. And we're getting ready to play Jack of Diamonds.
The waltz of the evening.
That's right. I think some people call this Drunken Hiccups, but I think it's a much more elegant tune than that title would lead one to believe. I'm not going to do that plucking thing that Tommy Gerald did. I just can't. I love it, but it takes more coordination than I have. So we're gonna play the main like verse part, the chorus part that's so pretty every time, and then every now and then I'm gonna throw in the third part, the high part, and I'll try to look meaningfully up from what I'm doing to give everyone warning that that's coming. And thanks again for being with us tonight. Hope you've had as much fun as we have, and hope to see you again later in the season.
Thanks for giving us a reason to learn new tunes and practice.
Right.
And
keeps us fresh.
Yeah,
we're going to Jam Camp North in Massachusetts a week from now, and this is helping us get warmed up for it. Hope to see some of you there, too. Let us know in the comments if you'll be at Jam Camp North. All right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, hope everyone had a nice evening. Thanks for tuning in.
We
Great to see
enjoyed it,
everyone.
and look forward to seeing you the next time.
Absolutely. Stay tuned for an announcement about our online Old Time Jam archive in the coming weeks. Be well, all.
Yay.
Bye.